Dr. Campos, it is great to be here with you. Thank you for making the time. For the people watching, Dr. Campos wrapped up with MD Can Help, was working with Dr. Joe Sherman, and would love to hear your thoughts on the experience. So thanks for making this time. For starters, would love to just hear, where you live, specialty and role,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's it.
My name's Leo Campos. I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm a vascular interventional radiologist at a large academic medical center.
Yeah. Awesome. And what kind of led you to look for physician coaching? What were the challenges you're facing, or I guess what did life look like before, getting started with Joe?
yeah. A lot of the challenges I was facing was, just feeling the whole dread of like, I'm sure a lot of people have felt before, of like not enjoying the day-to-day grind of work, right? And
Yeah.
feeling almost trapped in this like cycle. And That's kind of where I was with before I met Joe.
Yeah.
Also just I think a lot of it too for me was learning how to advocate for myself and like how to advocate for how I would like things to be around work for in order for me to thrive. And also like if I'm thriving, then I'm being the best doctor I can be for this group, right?
Yeah.
So it was hand in hand. And Joe definitely helped me out with this in terms of navigating the waters, in terms of, hey, like what figuring out what I wanted and what I needed, and then how to advocate for myself after that and how to verbalize that.
100%. 100%. And I think that emotion you talked about, feeling trapped or just almost dreading that day to day, something a lot of physicians can relate to. How did that impact, the people you're closest to, coworkers, et cetera, kind of being in that state of before to work? How did that impact the people around you?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, I think the most obvious thing was my wife was like, "Hey, you're miserable. Like your job, your work is, and it's kind of affecting
Yep.
everything else in life, right?" And that was the biggest, most important thing, right? Is like you don't want to, be in a kind of just bummed out mood
Yeah.
because of your work and bringing that home. You don't want it to affect your loved ones.
100%. Yeah. Um, I know you kind of had a personal connection to MD Can Help. How did you find us? And then, what were your thoughts going into this process?
Yeah. I found you guys through a mutual colleague that I used to work with who has had great success and in terms of her own journey with burnout. We actually were working together and faced a lot of the similar issues, and um, we still are in touch. And she was like, "Hey, like I think you should try this. I've done it, and it's." She actually even said, "This is something that I wish I had started years ago, earlier in my career."
Wow. Wow.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. And when she kind of said that, you're going into work, obviously there's plenty of dysfunction you can't control. There's the challenge of the medical system, some inherent to the system, some maybe to whatever, group you were employed by. And she kind of says, hey, there's this coach that could help you out. What are your first thoughts? Or, I mean, was there any kind of doubt or trepidation or fears or anything going into, you know, trusting a coach or something like this?
um, I can imagine that, like for like a lot of physicians, there might be because like we go through this whole mindset during your training that like if you're seeking help, then you may be weak or viewed as weak, right?
Wow.
um but actually it's probably more the contrary, right? Is there's strength in understanding where you're weak and where you need to sharpen your sword. So I think for me, this I was all in for it, especially knowing how Susie had done and how she's flourished since then. So for me,
100%.
I'd given her feedback. I did not have any trepidation.
Got it. Yeah. Now that you've kind of, graduated or gone through this process, where are you at now? What are you able to do now that you couldn't before? And how does that look and feel different on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think most importantly, the thing I noticed most is I feel more in control
Wow.
of things. Where I think that often, especially as a younger physician, in a large hospital setting, you can feel lost and kind of sit in the back of the room and be kind of timid in terms of speaking up. But now I've definitely have grown in terms of that, and then that's kind of changed everything for me
Wow.
in terms of you know taking on, hey, being the voice of, hey, like there's certain things I think we can make changes here in our group that can benefit everybody, and being comfortable just speaking out, because if I'm feeling that way, it's very likely that others are feeling that way.
Yeah.
um, and it's just a hump that you need to get over, is that fear of speaking out,
Yeah.
um, fear of representing yourself and your beliefs. And by doing that, you also show your colleagues the way too, in a way, like
Wow.
they see the light in you too, and
100%.
that benefits not just yourself but everybody. So yeah, everything's kind of much better in terms of, I'm not waking up with the dread of, God, I don't want to go to work today.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm definitely learning how to. It's always a process, right? We're all works in progress, but definitely learning how to um, has set boundaries in terms of things that you're willing to do and not willing to do, or hey, like I can't stay late. I got to go. You know, have a
What?
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, things planned with my family or with, and I think understanding that it's okay to say that is important. I think that's one big thing that I learned from Joe, is learning how to say that, hey, like I have other things outside of work going on that I need to accomplish or take care of. And it's okay to do those things.
100%. And you kind of brought up the positive impact it had on your colleagues and patients,
Yeah,
sort of
definitely.
juxtaposing with what you said earlier about your wife, saying you're miserable. What what's the difference at home, or what do they see in the new Leo?
Yeah. Definitely more energy, definitely more of a um there's more of a desire to, or desire slash more of an ability to put family things forward. There's more of a, it's easier, actually. Basically, that's the thing. It's like easier to put things outside of work um ahead of work now. Is whether it's, hey, like we had plans to go to a family outing or plans to go
Yeah.
have dinner together. It's easier to say, hey, look, I will not be able to do this, or stay late to do whatever, because now I've been given like the tools to understand how to
Yeah.
advocate for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Um, Last question is, for a physician watching this who's kind of on the fence, thinking about maybe making that investment themselves, maybe not, what would you say to someone who's unsure about if coaching is the right fit?
Try it. If like, what else are you going to do, right? Like, if you're in the hole, feeling miserable, feeling burnt out, feeling like there's no way out, um, there's nothing to lose. You know, um, there's a lot more to lose if you continue on the same path. A lot
Wow.
more to lose.
Wow. Yeah. Um, Dr. Campos, really appreciate your time, and amazing to see you happier and having more time with the people you really love.
Well, thank you, Davi.